Only 30 guilds have killed Mythic one-armed bandit in 21 days. Hardest 6th boss ever made. I feel like we hard baited people because when we killed one-armed bandit, I told people, like, people were like, oh, this boss is so easy. I'm like, guys, we did it in week 2 gear. That's why the check was easy. But this boss is not easy. I think we absolutely smurfed. Like, we played super fucking insane on this fight. Like, our strat was insane and our players played so good. Yeah, I don't know. This boss has been fucking destroying guilds. It's so hard. And it's been 21 days since the start of the race, and shockingly small number of guilds have killed the 6 boss of the raid. As of March 25th, only 30 guilds have killed Mythic One-Armed Bandit, currently marking it as the hardest 6th boss in recent history. 21 days after Mythic releases, here are the kill numbers. I mean, that's kind of insane. Okay, to be fair, though, I think Kaiveza was massively nerfed before, like, the full week before this timestamp that they've done. But also, like, I feel like One-Armed Bandit... Yeah, THD's right. Like, One-Armed Bandit is also a product of Styx and Sprocket being that hard, but that's not true this week. Like, I feel like they made... I mean, Sprocket is absolutely nothing compared to what it was. Styx is still kind of hard, though, just because of the nature of the fight. Here's why Styx is hard. Because... you can nerf the boss a lot, but it's always going to be hard for this reason. And there has been a few fights like this, and it's actually one of the best bosses ever for VOD review. So this is, if you guys wonder why we VOD review in the race world first, and you're wondering if you could ever add that to your own guild's progression, Styx is the perfect boss. Because it's going to take you 30 or 40 pulls to kill Styx minimum, basically, and it's because it's going to take that much time for basically everyone who's going to get the junk ball to get it and learn how to do it. You can watch a video of it. You just kind of need to learn the priorities of everything. You need to instantly go for hyenas. You need to be able to communicate who's getting bombs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just need, that's how many pulls it takes for people to get it in an average amount of time for you to be proficient at it. And then you're not really killing it before that point. So VOD, it's the same on Heroic though. It isn't. So on Heroic, you basically just have to get large and a couple of you go into the bomb and then a couple of you go into the boss. On Mythic, you still want to get hyenas, that's true, but you instantly have a 10-second timer to where you have to get Scrap Masters, and if anyone doesn't do that, which I've seen very good players, like people in my guild know exactly how to do it, and it take them a couple of times until they're good at it. It's really hard. They made it a little longer, but like it's still like even just separating yourself and knowing which one to get just takes some practice. And then on top of that, later you have to like clear stuff. And the bomb bots are still like, it's pretty easy to run into the bomb bots, even though they've nerfed those a lot as well. It's just one of those fights. Like, I know everyone doesn't do this, but like if you had everyone like YouTube stream their own POV, and then when someone did the junk thing and made a mistake and everyone watched it, and you were like, they did a great job, but just in case, you know, this is something that they did really well here as an example or really poorly, and use that as an example to everyone else and say, this is exactly what I don't want you to do, and this is exactly what I do want you to do. And what that will do is now, right after you just talked about it with a clear video example, the next couple people who get those balls are definitely not going to do that thing or are definitely going to do that thing if it's something good or bad, right? And that will save so many attempts. By using VOD review on a boss like Styx, you can group learn a mechanic rather than having everyone figured out individually over time. It is a insane time save, maybe the best use of it possible. Or if you're a raid leader and you want to save time and maybe everyone doesn't want to stream, you can actually go to some other guilds' POVs and just individually clip some people from other guilds doing the bombs incorrectly or correctly, so you can like use them as examples for people of how to do things when they mess them up themselves. I mean, One-Armed Bandit is crazy though. So like look at where's the best place to look at this? Warcraft logs. So look at the kills on One-Armed Bandit, right? So I don't know if there's like an easy way to look at just total pull counts for the fight, but like ours and Echo's are always a little weird because Echo did a little bit of progress on this fight without a video. So like they were doing some testing. We did some testing pulls on this boss. So this is the pulls of Echo and us, like kind of disregard them, is just imagine they would probably be a little lower if we were looking at a video, right? We do One-Armed Bandit in 56 tries, the first people to kill it. So we're the first people to show what we were doing and with our strat for this. Echo did it in, I believe, a similar amount. Let me see. So they did One-Armed Bandit in 61 pulls. So we did it in 56 pulls. They did it in 61. So like pretty similar, like really similar actually, because of like how kind of RNG this fight is. And then I think normally what happens is when we spend some pulls doing a strat, and then also a boss gets massively easier with weeks of gear plus a raid buff, like the 3% stacking raid buff, which did happen. It's usually like the guilds after this that are really, really good and really good at copying videos because they do that every tier. That's what they're good at. They usually are going to do this in way less because they have, you know, probably just as good of a comp. And I believe these next couple of guilds I'm going to look at all do have multiple dot classes, multiple windwalkers, right? But let's go ahead and look at them, right? And that is not what happened. So I'm not going to try to cherry pick a ton of guilds. I actually don't know how well Method did on it. I've never looked at this. So Method did One Arm Bandit in 102, right? Method, not quite on like the top pedestal of guilds yet, but they're going for that, right? The top 2. But like they're still really, really good, right? 100, right? Like almost double the amount of pulls as we took while doing it first as well, right? That shows very difficult boss. And they were basically saw the end of the fight for like half of those pulls. This is going to be a theme. Go back to, I guess we'll look at Hot Pot Hero, right? I actually haven't looked at them as well. One Arm Bandit, 168, right? Really good eye level, 3 Shadow Priests, 3 Affliction Locks, 2 Windwalkers, 2 Fire Mage. Good comp. This is the comp you want for this encounter, right? It takes them 168 pulls with full video to kill this boss. They're a really good guild, right? Okay, let's look at instant dollars. Absolutely insane guild. Potentially one of a few guilds that could maybe make the claim to the best guild in the world besides the non-Race to World First guilds, right? I mean, this tier, I think they can easily take that claim after this tier, right? One Arm Bandit, 93. They do it a reset or 2 later. I'm not sure, probably a reset later. And they're taking almost double the amount of pulls with full strat, with fucking 4 Shadow Priests, 2 Windwalkers, right? Banger comp. Great comp. Hunt 93 pulls, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a boss like this where the boss was shown with comp and strat. It is a boss that is, some bosses are not nerfed by gear. Silken Court gear doesn't really matter. Like, you still have to learn the fight, right? This fight is purely just gear. Like, gear will make this fight infinitely easier, right? All right, EU Ragnaros Synergy. One Arm Bandit, 172. One Arm, by the way, I think almost every guild I just mentioned has killed Muggsy in less pulls than One Arm Bandit. That article about this fight being insanely hard is not wrong. Now, I'm kind of cherry picking here, although not really because I'm going down the list in order, but I will show you Jitian Hong's, if that's how you say that, their progression. They took 400 pulls on One Arm Bandit, not making it up. They did Muggsy in half the amount of pulls, okay? Now, that's kind of a not great example because they're famously a guild that just pulls a boss they're not good enough to kill a million times until it dies. But, okay, Fat Shark, yes, banger guild, right? Super fucking good. Chrome King Gallywix, 180 or 87. Muggsy Heads of Security, 143, in less pulls than it took us, I believe. One Arm Bandit in almost triple the amount of pulls. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a trend. This is not like a one-off thing. Like, for some reason, us and Echo, even spending a decent amount of pulls coming up with the entire strat, the guilds that normally are going to take a gear boss and do it in less pulls are doing it in significantly more. With more gear, in some cases, a raid buff, and just as good of a comp. It's weird, dude. Like, it's unprecedented. A boss like One Arm Bandit, what I'm describing to you right now, this doesn't happen. This has never happened. It's really strange, honestly. Like, I don't know of a boss where us and Echo just killed it like pretty fast, even with, you know, you could knock 10, 20 pulls off this if we go in with a kill video, you know, probably even more. And all these other guilds had a kill video and they're doing it in double or triple the amount of pulls. And these guilds are fucking insane. They're so good. That's not true on Muggsy. That's not true on Sprocketmonger. That's not true on Ansurek. That's not true. You know, that's not true on Kaiveza. Do you see the pattern? Like, it's, like, you could go back in time, going back to the original. You can go through any of these bosses. That none of these was the case, right? It's a really unique boss in that way. By the way, I heard One Arm Bandit and Muggsy got nerfed yesterday. Was that fake news? Muggsy heroic only and no One Arm Bandit? Yeah, basically, I think they should have nerfed One Arm Bandit and Muggsy this week. Like, I think if Blizzard's going to make crazy hard bosses for the Race World first, they just need to nerf them faster. And they've done a good job about that this season with Myth Plus, and they've done a good job about that this season on earlier bosses. But, like, for them, if they're ever going to go back to making Ansurex, and which, I mean, I imagine they will, right? Or Fyrax, or Tendrils, or any of that stuff, all of those bosses are actually okay for us to spend a bunch of time on and be super hard as long as they're nerfed pretty much right after that. But they just take too long to nerf them. I was listening a little bit to some discourse saying that, like, basically 300 pull bosses are, like, for outside of the Race World first, like, basically no one enjoys a 300 pull boss. They would rather, you know, if the last boss was, you know, 100 pulls on a really hard boss is acceptable, maybe 150, but they'd basically much rather have more 100 to 150 pull bosses instead of 300 ever. And I could definitely feel that. Like, I think 300 pull bosses make you not have any fun, basically, unless you're doing this for a living or do it really, really high level. Oh, you want to know another really, really interesting little side note about this race? or not this race, this tier. I believe this is accurate. Let me try to find a an example. There are currently 11 guilds done with the raid, 23 guilds at 6 out of 8, and 0 at 7 out of 8. That's, first of all, just kind of a fascinating thing to look at. But I have a question. Do you guys remember the last time that this happened? Or something similar to this happened, where basically once you got past a certain boss, the next boss was just going to, like, basically something like this could happen. It doesn't even necessarily have to be an end boss. There's one very, very clear one that I can remember. And it was in a raid in Shadowlands. Actually, kind of 2 raids in Shadowlands. Sludge Fist? No. Well, okay. Well, I'm kind of giving away by saying that. Yeah, so it happened in Sanctum and in Sepulcher. So when you killed Painsmith, you killed the next 3 bosses in like 2 raid nights. So basically there was no guilds that were... was there 9 bosses in that raid, right? Like there was no guilds that were 7 out of 9 or 6 out of 9. Or maybe there's 10 bosses, I don't remember. But like basically it was like you were on Sylvanas or you were on Painsmith. Another one happened in Sepulcher. So this was not true in the Race to World first because Rygolon and Lords of Dread were really hard. But they ended up nerfing Rygolon and Lords of Dread a lot. And also both of those bosses are massively nerfed by eye level. So what you saw was, and second legendaries, which we did not have when we killed them. So when you killed Anduin was always really hard because there was an insane amount of pass-fail mechanics. Now, I do regret, this is kind of a tangent, I do regret talking about the pass-fail mechanics on Anduin so much because now I hear people mentioning pass-fail mechanics basically all the time, and I feel like that term has become very misunderstood. Like, I've heard people say, like, there's just too many pass-fail mechanics, but, like, the amount of pass-fail mechanics that have been in the last 3 raids since Sepulcher have been about the same as every raid for the past 10 years. That's not ramping, but it's like the way people talk about it, it sounds like it's ramping, and it's basically ever been since Anduin, but Anduin, that was actually true. So I don't know, just random side note that like most of the time when I hear someone mention something like pass-fail mechanics, I immediately assume they have no idea what they're talking about, and it's almost always right. But like as soon as you killed Anduin, you were on Jailer. You just instantly killed Rygolon and Lords of Dread. Like no guilds were stuck on them.